Welcome, everybody, to this week's edition of Valpo Football Weekly. Brandon Vickery with you. Glad to be joined by the head coach of the Valpo football program, Andy Waddle. We'll look ahead to this week's game against North Dakota. We'll look back at last week's game against Western Illinois. And let's start there, coach. And now you've had a day or two to review the film. Maybe what stands out as some things that you want to improve going forward from Saturday's game.
Yeah, I think that we continue to have, little self-inflicted wounds that we just got to get better at. You know, Quarterback center exchange, running back quarterback exchange, you know, um, holding penalties. We jumped off sides. So that's the stuff that eats at me because I know that, that's not a talent gap. That's a thing that we can get better at, that we can improve at. So, we want to improve those things offensively. I think defensively, we gave up some big plays, which, a couple busted assignments, which is frustrating. I want to kind of continue to we have to be able to tackle better than what we did on Saturday, um and just keep getting better at attacking the game one play at a time, and not lose focus on that. I think that even when you're dominating or winning or whatever, if you lose focus on the task at hand, you'll never achieve your potential. Or we talk about chasing perfection. We want to chase perfection. We understand that that's not going to be a reality, but it can be a reality on the next play. And we want to chase that perfection each play.
One player who stood out over the course of the season on defense over the three games has been Max Samuel. He's made plays in each game. Maybe what stood out to you about him this season?
Yeah, Max is fast and he's physical, and I think that he's one of the more talented guys that we have, defensively, just from a sheer um, speed, size, and Max is I think can be a very good blitzer, and able to get pressure on the quarterback when he does that. He's also fast and can cover guys, and so yeah, Max is one of our better ones.
Ryan Ricketti's 100-yard kickoff return was obviously a highlight. They got some attention in the game on Saturday. Kind of walk me through that play from your perspective and what happened on the kickoff return that allowed him to go the distance.
Well, Ryan was really, I mean, he was taking, the game very personal, and he wanted to go out there and make something happen, be a spark. And I mean, he talked about that in the huddle, and you know he got the ball and followed his blocks, and I think some guys did some good things. They relaxed on the backside. He cut it back, and once he did, he just outran the guys that they had across from him and made a move on the kicker, and went to the end zone. So it's a pretty special play.
Speaking of special teams, Luke Scoma is a guy who has been solid at the kicker position, made a field goal on Saturday. How did he step up during fall camp to win that kicking job? And what have you seen from him?
Yeah, I mean, as a big picture, I think Luke's been great. I don't think he had his best day on Saturday. He had one kick that on a kickoff that he didn't hit cleanly, and he missed a PAT. But as a whole, the three games in, I think that he's been a bright spot on our special teams, and certainly, we have the confidence that we can go out there and make a field goal from, inside the 50-yard range, and have a chance to knock those home, and maybe even a little deeper than that. But he's put the ball in the end zone fairly consistently. He's made some 3 for 3 on field goals. So, he had a great summer, really worked hard, put a lot of work into it, and came back much improved from the spring.
Well, the teams in the Missouri Valley Football Conference are always at the top of FCS, and North Dakota is a team that almost beat Kansas State earlier in the season. As you look ahead to Saturday, what stands out to you about this week's opponent?
Yeah, it's interesting. These guys, they're big, they're physical. They You know, um, they're doing some good stuff for sure. I watch them and they give a lot of movements defensively, a lot of line stunts and simulated pressures and different ways to attack the quarterback defensively, offensively. They line up and you know two tight ends and pound the ball at you, and then get five guys out in the routes out of that same personnel group. So they're going to present some challenges. I mean, they look, a Missouri Valley version, but they look like what I want to look like, and if here at Valpo with the way that they play offensive football and defensive football, and certainly high praise to what they're doing up there.
There he is, the head coach of the Valpo football program, Andy Waddle. The game will be at 3 p.m. Central Time on Saturday, and you can tune in on ESPN Plus. Talk to you again next week on Valpo Football Weekly, presented by Lakeshore Bone and Joint Institute.